Hi, welcome to video number 23. I meditated on it today and we covered resentment in one of my previous videos. And I got the sense that the Lord wanted to help us have a solution, a workable solution for dealing with our resentments because they are so deadly. So without further ado, I'm going to be reading from the big book of Alcoholics Anonymous. This is my original big book, and as you can see, it's pretty war weary. It's a beautiful book. As I said yesterday, I firmly believe that the Holy Spirit inspired the writers when this book was created. Anyway, here we go. This is under the chapter Freedom from Judging for anybody who's interested. And like I said, you can get the big book on Amazon, or you can go to, I think it's aa.org or aa.gov or something, not gov, aa.org or aa.com or something like that. And they actually have the big book on audio. So without further ado, page 550. The AA members who sponsored me told me in the beginning that I would not only find a way to live without having a drink, but that I would find a way to live without wanting to drink. And let's just substitute think for the word drink, and then this story is applicable to everybody. If I would only do these simple things, they said, if you want to know how this program works, take the first word of your question. The H is for honesty. The O is for open-mindedness, and the W is for willingness. These are book calls the essentials of recovery. They suggested that I study the AA book and try to take the 12 steps according to the explanation in the book. For it was their opinion that the application of these principles in our daily lives will get us sober and keep us sober. And I can be completely free of the effects of drug and alcohol and still be drunk on my thoughts, still be drunk on my emotions, still be drunk on food. The list goes on. I believe this, and I believe too that it is equally impossible to practice these principles to the best of our ability, a day at a time, and still drink. And I'll substitute drink with think. For I don't think the two things are compatible. I had no problem admitting I was powerless over alcohol, and I certainly agreed that my life had become unmanageable. I had only to reflect on the contrast between the plans I made so many years ago for my life with what really happened to know that I couldn't manage my life drunk or sober. AA taught me that willingness to believe was enough for a beginning. It's been true in my case. Nor could I quarrel with Restore Us to Sanity, for my actions drunk or sober before AA were not those of a sane person. My desire to be honest with myself made it necessary for me to realize that my thinking was irrational. It had to be, or I could not have justified my erratic behavior as I did. I've been benefited from a dictionary definition I found that reads, rationalization is giving a socially acceptable reason for socially unacceptable behavior. And socially unacceptable behavior is a form of insanity. AA has given me serenity of purpose, the opportunity to be of service to God and to the people about me, and I am serene in the infallibility of these principles that provide the fulfillment of my purpose. AA has taught me that I will have peace of mind in exact proportion to the peace of mind that I bring into the lives of other people. And it has taught me the true meaning of the admonition, happy are you who know these things and do them. For the only problems I have now are those I create when I break out in a rash of self-will. I'm going to read that sentence again. For the only problems I have now are those I create when I break out in a rash of self-will. I've had many spiritual experiences since I've been in the program, many that didn't recognize right away, for I'm slow to learn and they take many guises. But one was so outstanding that I like to pass it on whenever I can, in the hope that it will help someone else as it has me. As I said earlier, self-pity, resentment were my constant companions, and my inventory began to look like a 33-year diary, for I seemed to have a resentment against everybody I had ever known. All but one responded to the treatment suggested in the 12 steps immediately, but this one posed a problem. It was against my mother, and it was 25 years old, a 25-year-old resentment. I had fed it, fanned it, and nurtured it as one might a delicate child, and it had become as much of a part of me as my breathing. It had provided me with excuses for my lack of education, my marital failures, personal failures, inadequacy, and of course, my alcoholism. And though I really thought I had been willing to part with it, now I knew I was reluctant to let it go. Justified resentments are the most difficult ones to let go of, but they must be let go of, or there's some pretty negative consequences. One morning, however, I realized I had to get rid of it, for my reprieve was running out. And if I didn't get rid of it, I was going to get drunk. And I didn't want to get drunk anymore. In my prayers that morning, I asked God to point out to me some way to be free of this resentment. During the day, a friend of mine bought me some magazines to take to a hospital group I was interested in. And I looked through them, and a banner across the front of one featured an article by a prominent clergyman in which I caught the word resentment. He said, in effect, please listen up, this is very important. If I have a resentment that I want to be free of, and if I will pray for the person or the thing that I resent, I will be free. If I will ask in prayer for everything that I want for myself to be given to them, I will be free. Ask for their health, their prosperity, their happiness, and I will be free. Even when I don't really want it for them, go ahead and do it anyway. Do it every day for 2 weeks, and you will find you have come to mean it and to want it for them. And you will realize that where you used to feel bitterness and resentment and hatred, you now feel compassionate, understanding, and love. It worked for me then, and it has worked for me many times since, and it will work for me every time I am willing to work at it. Sometimes I have to ask first for the willingness, but it too always comes. And because it works for me, it will work for all of us, alcoholic or not. As another great man says, the only freedom a human being can ever know is doing what you ought to do because you want to do it. This great experience that released me from the bondage of hatred and replaced it with love is really just another affirmation of the truth that I already know. I get everything I need in Alcoholics Anonymous. Everything I need, I get. And when I get what I need, I invariably find that it was just what I wanted all the time. So this video was a little bit lengthy, so I think I'll cut it off there, but my experience has proven that that prayer is very powerful, and that after a while, sometimes it took more than 2 weeks for me, After a while, it began to really mean it. And then God gave me revelations about the people that I was really angry at. Things that I had no idea had happened to them in their childhood or recently. And that's why judging them is insane, basically. But we can go more into that in a later video. My earnest prayer is that each and every one of you gets a deep realization of the ever-present presence of God. I've repeated it before and I'll repeat it again. God is everywhere. He can read, he can and does read all of my thoughts, all of my emotions, all of my intentions, all of my inattentions, all of my actions. He is everywhere. And that can give me both great comfort or a little bit of trepidation, depending upon what I'm up to. And I've been on both sides of the street with regard to that. And I don't recommend being on the wrong side of the street. And the other thing that I earnestly pray for you is that God will reveal on a very deep level how much he absolutely loves each and every one of you. Whether you know him or not, whether you believe him or not, whether you understand him or not, whether you like him or not, he still loves you. And we can go into just how much he loves you and the proof of that in an upcoming video. Thank you and good night.